In progress.
Okay, we're recording, and do we have anybody in the public yet? Anybody on Zoom? You ready? Okay, roll call.
Okay, Lee,
Present.
Catherine,
Present.
Igor, Jerry, absent, Scott,
Present.
Margaret,
Present.
Bonnie.
Yes, present. Okay, we certainly have a quorum. Approval of the August 12th minutes. Looks fairly lengthy.
How was it?
Those are just, it's just your packet of all the
Oh.
stuff. So,
I didn't have any changes to it.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Okay,
I'll second it.
second it. Any corrections, errors, or omissions?
I just wanted to take a look at that section about iPhone 2 again, just to be 100% sure.
let's see. We have an iPhone up there right now, so do we need to ask who they are?
We've got some folks on.
iPhone,
Okay,
aren't we supposed to ask?
Okay, yeah,
Right.
okay. I'm clear with the way it is written.
Our rules of procedure say that people have to identify themselves, correct?
Our rules of procedure say that people have to identify
And
themselves.
if they don't, can we not have them on our Zoom?
Our rules of procedure do not state what we can do if they don't identify themselves.
I-
So that may be something that we want to clarify. in
Yeah,
our
we
rules
might
of
want
procedure.
to clarify, because after the last question.
Well, it's not even that. It's,
Security.
it's security, it's disruption, it's,
Right.
it's a whole bunch of things, so we can't go on with our process.
Right,
I called the New Hampshire Municipal Association legal team, Steve Buckley. He said that if anybody on Zoom wishes to speak, they must identify themselves just as if they were here in the audience. If they just want to listen in, they just want to listen, not speak, not participate, just listen, then they don't have to identify themselves.
okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's clear.
In that case, I would like to make a motion that the commentary from the unidentified person be stricken from the minutes.
Second.
How does that work with?
Who's the owner?
With the
They haven't
recording?
commented.
No, we
No,
had
from the-
last time.
The
Last
min-
time.
Oh,
Last
So-
time, we're approving the minutes.
yeah, then I wouldn't let him talk. unless
Right, but the video, they participated in, it's on the video.
It is on the video,
But I would,
but
yeah,
I would replace it with a statement that an unidentified person made comments that have been redacted from the
yeah,
minutes.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Do we want to vote on that amendment to the minutes first and then the minutes, or
Yes,
combine it? Yes, I think we want to vote on that separately. All right, we're gonna vote on redacting the comments in the minutes that were made by the person that
was
That
unidentified,
refused to identify
Refused
themselves.
to
was
identify,
refused to
yeah, right.
identify themselves.
correct, because we did request it.
Yes. All right,
Good.
want to go down to the roll call now?
Lee,
Yes.
Catherine,
I'm going to abstain because I had recused myself from that section of the
Good move.
meeting.
Igor,
Yes.
Scott,
Abstain.
Margaret,
Yes,
and Bonnie.
Yes. So it passed, right? We have enough votes, okay. So now the minutes, would that change? We
Okay.
have a motion and a second on the minutes as amended.
Okay, Lee,
Yes,
Catherine,
I'm going to abstain for the same reason.
Igor,
Yes.
Scott,
Yeah. Oh, no, abstain, I'm sorry.
Margaret,
yes.
and Bonnie.
Yes, okay. Good. The budget discussion, we were asked to review the budget, submit, a budget. by the end of the month.
Okay, before we proceed, I would like iPhone to identify themselves.
The person on the screen, iPhone, do you want to identify yourself?
It shows that a microphone is off in the corner, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're muted.
You're muted.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
So, yeah, so they won't comment.
Yeah, so you heard our discussion earlier that,
Let's just move on.
Yep.
okay. The budget, we've got in our packet, actuals where we are, what last year's budget was, and you know that the salary, the payroll, that's something that's determined by the selectmen. That category, I guess the selectmen.
I think so, we divvy up part of Kathy's salary.
You will discuss that, on the selectmen level,
Yeah,
rate of pay or
Yeah.
hours or whatever, okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the budget, does the group have any thoughts or any, do we need to change anything or stick with the one we got? You can see our actual expenditures, we haven't really used the, consulting and legal, although
you should keep it though.
we should.
Yeah,
keep it.
you're keeping it the same
We
as,
should keep it, I would think we just keep the same budget.
Yes.
So the one question that I have, which will come up later in my discussion of the floodplain subcommittee, is I would like to move forward with some of the community rating system activities during the year ahead. And I don't know to what extent we may need some budget for some of those actions. And I'm not sure whether our current operating budget would be sufficient to cover it or not.
what do you think that the expenditures would be?
I haven't had enough time to look into
We don't have to.
the exact
Well,
details
We
at
don't
this
have to
point.
approve this today, I mean,
Yeah.
we can go another meeting.
But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking that the consultation, that we have not used, that could be,
Could go.
part of that could come from that line item.
Right, we could use it, if we used a consultant, that could come from that line item.
So that
But
could-
if we were doing, for example, community education efforts, or
Mhm.
if we wanted to work with the select board to make material improvements in the community,
Mhm.
that would help us to get a higher rating.
And I noted, if we, buy the computer,
If we buy the computer, that's
that's.
gonna
take
eat up
the
our
whole-
entire operating budget.
The computer will eat up the whole, operating
$2,000
expense.
for a computer. seems
That's a lot.
I
Yeah, but
For
know.
what we use?
I know, I
It has to
know.
do
It
with the
also
software
includes
and all that
The
stuff.
software and the
The way-
maintenance contract,
With the town, okay.
So,
because that allows Kathy to get online into the town system, and if we
Sure.
bought it
Oh,
separately,
you
she wouldn't
can't.
be able to
Well, that
connect.
makes sense, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
so let's talk about the computer for a second. So the computer is, how much, refresh my memory, it's 20?
Like $2,000, yeah.
2,100
We
and
have-
change.
We have a balance of 1,700 in our operating. And,
And I believe there was an 800 reserve set aside for the computer.
okay, so between those two things, we use it up.
For this
Right.
year,
For
and
this
that's
year,
gone.
Which
Yeah.
is great.
This year.
That's fine. If we are doing something for the floodplain, what I'd like to see, because we haven't used consultation at all, is I would like to see us reduce that line item by the amount that you think that you're gonna need. So let's say it's $500. We reduce consultation by $500 and make the new line item, as opposed to increasing the budget.
I think that's a good idea.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we're not using that, then, I wanna leave it there, because we may have to
Yeah.
use it, but because we haven't, and then if we need more, we'll beg the selectmen.
I think, yeah, that's my point too. If we really think, if the project is worth it, we can see some return, I think there's probably money somewhere. As long as it's not a ton of money
Right.
to, if it's a few $100s or a couple thousand, I think it could be fine.
I would like to see the planning board budget not move,
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So, let's,
So you're gonna make a motion to take, say, 500 out of consultation and make a new line item called,
I think it would be good to get an estimate
yeah.
of some sort,
Yeah.
and when you have
Right.
more time to
Definitely,
investigate it, to come
So-
up with
and-
something.
Yeah.
Before the next meeting.
And then I'll talk a little bit more when I get to my committee report, but
Sounds good.
Perfect.
all right, and just tell, Judy that we're working on it.
Okay.
I think she'll be fine.
have it ready for the next meeting.
We'll have it ready before January.
Yeah, that's right.
We completed the excavation site visits just before this meeting. A question was raised that we probably should research and provide an answer to. One of the pit owners raised the question about alteration of terrain requirements and whether we needed to require it.
So we went through, with the new pit permit, we went through the process to the best
Yes,
of our
we did.
ability.
We
And
did.
I think if the question is an important one, it will be, I think before we try to address
Right,
whatever we think the pit owner is talking about, I think we should wait for it to be a more specific question directed to us.
Right.
All right.
I think trying to address it just off the shoulder is gonna be difficult.
and or one or two of us could go through the file and see,
Well, I mean,
between now and the next
having
meeting.
just approved it at the last meeting
I know.
and going through the checklist of approval.
And we did,
And we offered, we explained to that pit owner that information is public record.
right,
And they're welcome to come down here and go through it. And if there's something that we haven't done, we'll clearly
Right.
make sure that we straighten it out. But I think for us to try to address something that we're not specifically
Right.
sure about what the question is, we're gonna be chasing our tails.
okay,
Yeah, I have here, I just Googled it, and what it says here, that alteration of terrain permit is required whenever the project proposes to disturb more than 100,000 square feet of continuous terrain, 50,000 square feet if any portion of the project is within the protected shoreland, or disturbs an area having a grade of 25% or greater within 50 feet on any surface water. So we need to do
right.
due diligence whether any of these are met at that before.
So do we want to appoint a couple of us to research a bit more alteration of terrain requirements, or do we want, as Lee suggested?
I think we have a subcommittee already that's reviewing the excavation regulation,
Yep,
so maybe we can
we can start
roll it
with,
into that.
yeah, we can start with that, and maybe
Okay.
before our next meeting, we can discuss
Let's do
that.
that. All right, we'll refer it to the Earth Excavation Subcommittee
Mhm.
for review. All right. And that's about all that came out of the site visit, was that
Yep.
question.
Everything was fine.
Everything looked fine. Selectmen's report.
Just getting started on budgets, Andre designs the new building inspector. Capital improvement plan for the water systems is done, capital improvement plan for the sewer system is done. And
Wow.
we're looking at, possibly putting in a centrifuge for the sewer system to save some money, and, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and we did a, total survey with the town engineer of every road in Woodstock. Spent an afternoon, went down every single road, inspected it, he looked at it, and we're coming up with a timeline of when we're going to pave or just repair or seal coat or whatever, so that's about done.
The question was asked of me, and I didn't know, but I said I would mention it to the selectmen, so I'll bring it up here. Seeing you mentioned roads. The road, Cox's Farm Road,
Yep,
from the junction with 175 up to the gate, so-called gate, under the highway.
that's not Cox's Farm, oh, Cox, okay, but are you talking about, not Cox, the other road,
The road off of 175 that goes past the storage units, under the underpass. And the question was raised that there's a part there that's paved,
right.
and shouldn't the whole thing be paved
We've been pa-
from,
We've been paving a section every
Okay.
couple of years. Michael go another couple hundred yards, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So gradually it's gone down from the corner where it turns,
right,
where it's the town. It's come down 2 or 3 sections over the last 5 or 10 years.
So you're gonna continue just doing
Yep.
another
Section
section,
at
another
a time.
section?
Yep,
another
because it
section.
only really serves, I
Right.
mean, only like 6 or 7 houses, so.
Well, the person that mentioned it, that lives on that road, mentioned that he believed it was a class 5, not a 6, and that the road
It's a class
should be-
5 till the corner. And class 5 roads do not have to be paved. There's hundreds and hundreds of miles of class 5 roads that are not paved
Okay.
in the state. We have, our town is one of the few that does not have class 5 roads that are not paved.
We live on.
We live on one.
I know, right? Yeah, you live on.
We don't want pavement.
You know, like, example, like where my daughter just bought in Plymouth, is dozens of miles of unpaved road out there, and so.
Right,
Just because it's a class 5 road doesn't mean we need to pave it, we need to
Okay.
maintain it, but we don't have to pave it, so.
all right. Anything else from the selectmen?
I think that was it.
Okay, floodplain subcommittee?
So, right now, the floodplain subcommittee is me, and I've
Must
been,
make for interesting meetings.
I've been working
They're a lot
to,
quicker.
get into communication with Kristen DeRocha from the Conservation Committee, but our schedules have been not meshing over the course of the summer. Meanwhile, we've had a few significant weather events that have resulted in area flooding, which makes getting the town included into the community rating system more urgent. And I feel like it's important for us to move forward with this project, and I'm asking for some help. So I would like to be not a committee of one anymore.
I could help a little bit, I think, because we're involved with the permitting of structures in there and stuff like that. We've got one going on now, so probably I would help with that.
Okay, anybody else want?
Igor, you should,
You want to join the subcommittee?
I don't know if I don't have enough on my.
No, I know
my
it's-
plate
no, I'm
at
good.
this point.
Margaret and I live close enough, we can make it
Yeah.
pretty easy.
All right,
Okay,
I'll help.
yeah, that would be good. Then we can go through what's necessary for the next couple of steps and
Sure,
get an idea of what kind of budget we would need so that we can make
great.
a
Sounds
more
good.
definite
And
recommendation.
next couple of weeks, I've got time, so.
Yeah, I know some of the things are involved in the first steps include informing the public, and there are free materials that are available from FEMA.
And what is informing the public? Is it Facebook? Is it a mailing? Is it, I don't know.
Some of it's Facebook, some of it's putting things on our website, like making a page
Sure.
about the floodplain. Some of it's sending out postcards, which we can get for free from FEMA. But we
Okay.
may have to pay the postage on,
Things
or
like
we
that.
could put a stack of them here in town office and say, hey, come
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get
because
them.
one thing I think people in floodplain should realize too is that if they want to improve their property and they want to improve the property over 50% of their assessed value,
mhm,
they have to bring it up to current code.
Right, yeah,
So-
and
Yeah,
some of
I-
that information, we want to make sure that
They
people
know.
understand.
Yeah.
And that there are things like, if you're doing rebuilding, you have to make sure that below the foundation and has
Breakaway walls.
pass-throughs for
Yeah.
the water and breakaway walls and no heating down in the basement and that kinds of
Yeah,
things.
between here and the Cape and stuff, I've been involved a
Right.
lot with it, so I'll help
So
with that.
did they specify assessed value? Because when we attended the meeting,
Yeah.
I actually picked on that one because the lady was
Yeah.
mentioning a market value.
It probably is market value.
And that's a big question mark on there. As a former appraiser, I can tell you that
So
market
it's
value.
different.
Yeah, it's-
Well, right
Yeah.
now, I went through a bunch of properties that have sold in town the last couple of years, just for my own personal benefit. And it looks like we're about 40% value, I think, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, she was
40
talking
or
about
50%.
assessed value during the training workshops, but assessed value clearly is well below what
Well, what she
the
said.
actual
is-
sale value of the property is worth right now.
You know, she said market value first, when I started questioning that, well, use assessed value.
You can't do that.
Kind of like that.
Yeah,
Well, I
I said,
think
well, you know, it's a difference between market value is.
it's gotta be black and white somewhere.
Mhm.
There's-
It's not.
insurance
that.
companies have a value called replacement cost that they
Replacement
use,
cost.
and that would be a good one to
And that's
use.
what I suggested, is that to go to replacement instead of market value, because replacement cost is straightforward,
Right.
partial Swift, there
But
are
it's
tables
way
for
up
it, the
there.
software
Right.
for
But it
it.
usually falls somewhere in between if the market's being driven
Right.
up by,
Well,
And,
we'll
and as
look-
long
we'll
as
look
we
at
use
it.
the same value
Yeah.
consistently for all of our citizens, it's,
I
yes,
think we have to be consistent.
absolutely.
No, we'll look at it, see what
Yeah.
they say.
You choose.
They're
one,
pretty helpful down the
replacement,
state.
market, assess,
Have you talked to them at
everybody.
all down there?
I've talked to,
Replacement makes the most sense.
OSI,
Yeah, that's what I
In
suggested.
Concord?
yeah,
Other
Yeah,
than
they're pretty
replacement
good.
for my old
Yeah.
building.
She usually gets right back to me when I have questions, I've had
Yeah.
questions.
My barn that's assessed at 70,000, the insurance company says the replacement value is like 600,000. It's so
Probably
big,
is.
it's so
Yeah.
big.
That would be the replacement
That
value.
would be the
Yeah.
replacement
You
value.
needed to rebuild it, that's what you would need
Yeah.
to
That's
have.
what it would
I'm
cost.
building a deck right now that costs, that cost more than it did to build my house 40 years ago. You know, I'm like, come on, I'm like, this is bad,
Yeah,
bad.
it's
So
pretty rough.
You know, I think building is rough right now.
But it's gotta be consistent, whatever
Correct.
number you.
Well, we'll look at it and see what we're supposed to do.
Whatever number
Right.
you pick. Okay, we received some correspondence, the Calder New Hampshire DES letter that was in your packet, that basically
Happy to get
says
that.
I read that.
Very nice.
That was good.
everything is
Yeah.
in compliance and
That's good.
no issues there. We received an email from.
Hold on, I need to recuse myself.
Oh, yes, yes, go sit in the audience.
Thank you.
Okay, we received an email from the town attorney relative to the Cubic Yard LLC application before the Thornton Planning Board. And basically, you all got it in your packet.
Yep.
And basically, our attorney, Laura, basically said, well, we don't have any
don't have an
application
application.
before us. There's nothing to do until we have one. And that in her opinion, we are part of the process. I think, what did she call it, as odd as, odd, I think is the word she used, as odd as this seems. Approval from Woodstock is necessary,
Yep.
because that's what it says in the RSA, and till we get an application to review,
Yeah, I think we-
can't do anything. And when we tried to have a hearing, we were under the
Right.
misperception.
And I don't think we can really talk about it unless we have an application.
No.
And it was on the agenda, I think.
So that's basically, we have nothing to do.
Right.
Until we get an application.
Yeah, until we can.
That's right.
So we
We have
can.
nothing. So that's it.
Does anybody have any questions or any other comments on the opinion?
What's our recourse if they keep on operating there as they're right now operating?
Well, that's probably a good question. Theoretically, they don't have a completed permit in Thornton because they don't have
It would be-
Woodstock's
I think
permit.
I think that's a good question.
It's a good
And I
question.
think it's a good question that we should just ask the town attorney.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just ask that what if, just exactly how you just.
We'll
said it.
find out.
All right. So that's what we'll do,
Yeah.
find out what if. All right, anything else to say on the topic? You want to rejoin us?
I will.
Welcome back.
Thank you, it's been so long.
We missed you.
I missed you all.
We had one other correspondence that came in very recently, which was from somebody inquiring. I think you all got a copy, Bailey Claremont, inquiring about the process, and Margaret responded, Kathy responded. It seems like almost maybe two subdivisions, one dividing the 7 acre lot, you know, a 1 acre and a 6. And
You
then the
don't.
6,
Didn't see
They
it.
just sent
Yeah,
it.
it wasn't in the packet.
No, it's
No.
not.
And let's, we shouldn't even probably.
Yeah,
All right,
next time.
yeah.
all right, and when did this come in? It's just an inquiry of the process, and they just said what the process is.
Right.
Great.
But,
Do we get an
a
application?
potential minor and major subdivision on Mirror Lake Road might come forward.
We let them know that they could come here and talk to us if they
Yeah,
wanted to.
well,
And
they
they-
invited-
But it's not the owner that was inquiring, that's the problem.
We invited them to come
So,
here
it's not the owner.
tonight, ask us questions.
Good, good.
All right, and the quote on the, computer,
Just look at
That they accepted.
it. 20.
and
So
it's,
it's $2,127.50.
And so do you need a motion to approve the expenditure?
Just for clarity's sake, that does include an annual service contract, which would be
$350.
350 plus 60.
And that's included, correct?
Yes,
the 2,127.
And that includes all the software that.
that
you-
includes all of the software
Right.
and the hardware and the connection to the town systems.
$850 for the laptop, 305, 125,
Yeah, that
125.
makes.
Yeah,
So I make the motion that we accept the estimate, estimate number 10883 for the computer in the amount of 2127.50.
I second that.
All right, any discussion on that? Is it roll call vote?
Lee,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes,
Igor,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes,
Bonnie.
Yes. All right, we're getting our computer. Any idea when?
well,
Do we know?
Not
put
yet
the
until
order
we-
in and then as
Yeah.
soon as they're able to.
If it starts getting close to the end of the year, we should make sure that those funds are encumbered,
Yeah,
so we can
Yeah.
make sure it comes out of this year's budget.
I would think
Yes.
it would be an issue.
Yeah, I have no idea how backed up they are and supply chain issues and all that stuff.
My guess is that we should probably get it within 4 to 8 weeks, so it should be okay.
okay.
anything else the board wants to talk about before I ask for public participation?
I would just a little, what was people's general feelings on the presentation last meeting?
Oh, what Laura said?
Yeah.
Laura's comments about, the zoning and the potential benefit to us.
So I think what we decided to do was to, at town meeting, inform people at town meeting that we were going to be having meetings discussing zoning
Over the next year.
over the next
Over
year.
next
good.
year.
Yeah, so we had thought about bringing it up at town meeting, but town meeting's already, there's enough there.
Yeah.
And so if we just bring it up, we have all of the interested people that are in the room.
Let them
that are
know.
there, Let
Great.
them know, and then we'll start having discussions about it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't. Great.
All right, anything else? Any other questions on the part of board members?
No,
All right, public participation? Anybody? Anybody have anything to say? Anybody want to make a,
Motion
I
to
make the
adjourn?
motion.
I
My
second.
favorite motion to adjourn. Go on.
You have a second?
Who seconded it? I didn't hear. Who seconded it?
Lee did.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody say no, stay long.
no, stay no. It was an ice cream social.